Zero Fossil Fuel back with the HHO Hydrogen Electrolyzer project. A few things have happened since I closed out the last video clip. I will show them to you. I've gone ahead and drilled in the top of the 3 electrode plates 1/4-inch holes and fastened 6-gauge wire to the plates, connecting them as shown in the diagram provided by Ironhead. The center plate is negative, 2 outer plates are positive. And if I flip it around to the back, you can see how I've got the wires attached to the side. They are inserted into closed-end 6-gauge copper terminals, round lug terminals. Let me see if I can get a better close-up shot of that. Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay, you can see that they are enclosed. They're not open where you can see the strands after you've passed them through the eyelet of the lug, and they are soldered in place. Now, because these are soldered in place, what I'm going to do when I complete the assembly is I'm going to take some of the marine adhesive and I'm going to completely lather the connections all the way up to the insulation of the 6-gauge wire and around the back of the plates to seal it up tight and to prevent any leakage current from coming off of the bolts down to the plates. We don't want the copper or of the wire or of the lugs contaminating the electrolyte while the device is being used. So that is one hint that I'd like to give you. The other hint that I want to pass along is, even though this wire has many strands, despite that fact that it is flexible when you're working with it in long lengths, in short lengths it's still very stiff and very difficult to work with. So before you assemble it to the plates, preform the wires and insert them into the lugs and get them to the dimensions that you want before you solder the lugs to them and attach the bolts and socket down into place. The same is true when you're fitting it to the tank itself. If you look at how I've got the wires crossed here, okay, I started out with this lug and a length of wire on the black wire running out, and it probably came out to about here, and I left it that way until I inserted it into the tank. And when I insert it into the tank, I was able to determine approximately where I wanted the lug to be, and I let the location of the lug, determine the length of the wire before I cut it. That way I have a pretty good idea where the lugs are going to be located on the back. Now that the lugs are already pre-assembled to the wire, I will use these eyelets to locate where the stainless steel studs will go through and create my terminals on the outside of the box. Being as stiff as they are also makes it a little bit difficult to take these out of the electrolyzer plate cavity to slide them out, because they have to slide out together. Having 3 hands would be very helpful to do this. Okay, but this gives you some idea. You know, this is not flimsy. The other thing that I want to show you, since this is an experimental cell, you'll notice that I've labeled the 2 halves of the cell A and B. And then along the top edge, I've labeled my plates going out from the center 1 through 9. 1 through 9A, 1 through 9B. On the plates themselves, I hope I can show this on camera. Oh yeah, that comes out pretty good. You can see that I've inscribed the actual plate number on the plate. And I've also inscribed it on the side that faces inward, so that if I ever take these plates out for examination, for cleaning, for remachining, whatever purpose, I want them to go back into the same location relative to the center plates and the outside plates. That way I can always, if I'm just taking them out to inspect them and sticking them back in, there's no possibility that I can screw up the order. I think that's relatively important, because there are some things that I would like to try in terms of preparing this cell for the electrolysis process. And one half will be different than the other half, and I want to gauge the results between the two. So important to label those if you're going to do any experimentation. If you're going to just put this cell together one time only, then don't bother inscribing any information on the plates themselves. But I like to know, and I like to be able to put them back. And again, a third hand would be handy. Okay, there we go. Now this just drops in like so. And there you have it. The loop of wire that joins the two outer positive plates also is going to serve one other purpose. If you can see, it is just below the edge. So when I put my top cover on, that's going to serve to hold the entire plate cavity assembly down into the tank, and it'll prevent it from bouncing up if I should hit a bump in the car. That'll work out very nicely. When I come back, I should have the two terminals that connect the DC attached, and I can at that point begin applying some power to the plates and preparing them for electrolysis. I've also picked up some 1/4 MIP to 1/4 barbed fittings. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to drill the side of the acrylic to thread it to receive the threads on this tapered fitting. You'll notice those threads are tapered. If anyone has any suggestions, I would be very willing to look at any suggestions that you might have, because I don't particularly relish the thought of having to go out and buy a tap this size, which I'm sure would be quite expensive. I would prefer to just figure out a way to drill this out, and I don't know. I need some ideas. Drop me a line in the comments section. We'll try to incorporate your ideas. Thank you.